What's going on, everybody? What is going on? It is Friday, January 26th, 2024, and it is the last Friday of the month. And y'all know what that means. It is time for Freestyle Friday. For those of you who are new to the channel and are unaware of what Freestyle Friday is basically the one Friday a month, which is usually the last Friday of the month, where I allow my subscribers to basically call in via the link, the StreamYard link, and we just talk about whatever. It's not a structured live stream like I do with the midday streams or the regular Friday streams that happen before the Freestyle Friday, where they are actually topic based. So this is just talking about whatever it is that you want to talk about for maybe the next hour and a half or so. I try to keep the lines open for at least that good amount of time, so to allow enough people to come in as possible. But what's crazy is, whenever I'm like the Freestyle Fridays, that was the only time people could call in. But ever since I started doing these midday streams sporadically, I've allowed people to call in even for those. So now it's gotten to a point where it's almost like the Freestyle Fridays is just a bonus at this point. But if you haven't done so already, make sure you go ahead and hit that like button, hit the subscribe button if you are new. Also, shout out to all of the members. Shout out to the people over on Patreon as well. I got some new people who signed up to the Patreon. I definitely appreciate it. And if y'all know how the Patreon works, I left a little description right there in the community tab. That's my more extreme videos and topics that I just cannot put up here on YouTube because they are just that extreme. Trust me, those who are subscribed to my Patreon already know. I actually put up a video today. It's pretty graphic and it's actually very sad and disturbing all at the same time. If y'all seen it, y'all already know what I'm talking about. So shout out to y'all. Shout out to everybody who's also following me on Twitter, on Instagram, and in the Discord. So let me go ahead and acknowledge the people are here so far. I also got a couple of super chats to get to as well. Shout out to Muscle Pain, DSA1. Shout out to DSB for kicking off the super chat with the 199 super sticker. I appreciate it. Also, we have Lewis Knowles, Savion Draco Zero, Haxon KT, Denise Nisi Scales, Tia to You, Wallow J, Q2Ys, Quasi Black Star, Ren 11B Airborne, Till Dog 12, Wallow J, Letitia RDRD, Dimpleface Jesse Paris, Melanated Mantra, Janesta Coleman AW1, FBA Chuck D, and also shout out to Ren for the $9.99 super chat. I appreciate it. Who else do we have in here? William Arant, Daughter of the Most High. And that's pretty much it. Everyone else is pretty much repeat comments. But I hope everybody is having a good day. I know I did. I don't know about y'all or where y'all are at, but where I'm at, weather-wise, it felt like early spring. Today, it cracked 80. Let me say that again. It cracked 80 degrees today where I'm at in January. Now, mind you, we just got a bunch of snow last week. This time last week, it was snowing. Today, a week later, it's 80 degrees. Like, I'm like, it is so warm outside. Like, literally, like, you saw people dressed like it was the springtime, not having shorts on or anything like that, but people were walking around with short sleeve shirts on, no jackets. That's how I felt today. I don't know how I felt where y'all are at, but if you are in the DMV area, you definitely felt it. It's like 66 right now that the sun is going down, so it's cooled off a little bit, but it was warm today. And I think they said that this is probably the warmest this area has been in the month of January ever. And I believe it because I've never experienced it be this warm in January at all at any capacity. Usually January is cold, just all the time, just cold all the time. Especially you just coming off of a cold snap where it was snowing last week. But of course, all good things must come to an end because it's going to end up dropping back down to the 50s tomorrow. And then it's going to be 50s and 40s all next week. So it's going to be feeling like winter again. So enjoy it while it lasts, which was only for a day. The perfect part about it is that it didn't rain. So that was the best part about it. So people was able to actually go outside and just chill outside. But I have dropped the link in the chat. It's pinned to the top. So if anybody would like to come up, please go ahead and do so. And we can go ahead and, like I said, just talk about whatever for a good hour or so. Like I said, this is the freestyle. You can come up here and we can talk about whatever. Again, it's not a structured stream. It's not topic based. You bring up a topic and then we can go from there. Lewis Noah said, "Don't let this flu weather fool you." You got a very good point, because a lot of people will get fooled by like, oh, the weather is really nice today. Let me go ahead and dress like it's going to be this way tomorrow, the day after that, and the day after that. No, it's not consistent. It's just for one day. And it tricks people. And then what ends up happening is they end up getting sick. And then they wonder why. It's because you fell for the okie doke. What's going on, Spidey? Oh, and I'm so glad that I had so much participation with the poll this past week. Like I told you, it was a test run. When I looked at the results, when I put the poll up, that poll ended off with around over 500, almost 600 votes, maybe over 600 votes on that poll that I did as far as the order of how y'all wanted me to upload the videos this week. And you want to know what's even more interesting than those numbers being so high as far as those votes go? Is that the video y'all selected to be the second watch, the most watched one, which was the Issa Rae and Simu Liu video. That was the most watched video out of all of them this week. That video cracked 11,000 views in like 2 days. So it wasn't even the one y'all selected that wanted to be the most watched, which was about the Target gift card scam, which went up on Monday. It was the one that went up on Tuesday that got the most views. And I think I know why, because it was entertainment based while it was surrounding a topic of discussion that is the niche of my channel. So when you combine entertainment with what I talk about the most, it kind of blends well. If it's broken down in a way that I'm gonna toot my own horn, in a way that I can break it down. So shout out to y'all. And like I said, the next poll will be going up on Sunday at 8 a.m. And I tried to refrain from now uploading videos on Sundays to let it be a rest day, but unfortunately a Triple P opportunity came my way, and y'all will be getting that on Sunday at 11 a.m. along with the poll, because that was the only day I could squeeze it in there. It's not going to be a live stream. Triple P is going to be a pre-recorded one, and it's actually going to be on a Triple P on someone I just did a Triple P on last week, or maybe even this week. It might have been earlier in the week. So they get in another one because they did some more goofy stuff that makes them look even more. Y'all will see what I'm talking about when I get there. But definitely shout out to everybody who contributed to the poll. I could not believe that many votes came in that poll. Like, that was insane. But that just means y'all was very active with it. And shout out again to DSB for the $3 super sticker. And not only just the engagement for that particular poll, but y'all have been very engaged with the community posts that I've been making, like the one about the Supreme Court. It was a lot of responses on that Supreme Court post that I made, the one where they were saying they were going to remove the wiring down there at the border. It was a lot of engagement behind that post. I think my engagement went up because of the community posts and not just necessarily my videos. That's why I'm starting to post more on the community tab, so y'all can have engagement multiple ways between the videos that I post and stuff that I type out. So definitely shout out to y'all for that as well. And I can't wait for y'all to see this Sunday's poll as well. It's going to be, I think this Sunday's poll is going to definitely be heavily split between three. It's three of them for sure, maybe four of them out of the five that I'm going to have up there that I truly believe is going to be split. I think this one that y'all did was easy because it was overwhelmingly high for one. But this one coming up, it's probably going to be very split between five of them. I mean, between four of them. The fourth one I can probably see following to the end of the week. But the other four, I'm curious to see how those four fall in the polls. I'm not going to say what the topics are. Y'all will have to see it on Sunday. I already have it scheduled to post on Sunday. I made it a couple days ago. B1 to you, Sage. And again, shout out to Sage, and shout out to Aces, the group as a whole. Amazing, outstanding album. If y'all have not downloaded that album already, like I said, I posted that into my community tab, and I know a couple of y'all in here said that y'all downloaded it and listened to it, and y'all heard it and y'all enjoyed it. Trust me when I tell you, it's a very good, solid album. It's a good, solid freshman album. I can't wait to hear what that sophomore album is going to be like. Janesta said people are acting crazy over the Detroit Lions. Of course they are. Listen, I know some people in here who may not be like huge football fans and everything like that, but I'm telling you, these games that are coming up this Sunday is going to be insane. I mean, you got, well, personally, me, I want it to be a Ravens versus Detroit Super Bowl. Me personally. That's who I wanted to come down to. And I believe this will be Detroit's first time ever going to the Super Bowl, like ever in franchise history. But I wanted to come down, for me personally, I wanted to come down between those two in the Super Bowl, and whoever wins, it doesn't really matter. Because I'm not a fan of either team, but I definitely do not want Kansas City to go. Janessa, I know you feeling some type of way because you live in Detroit, so you have to deal with the masses. As a matter of fact, today I had to go like to Northern Maryland, and if you go the more Northern Maryland you go, you're gonna start seeing a lot of Ravens apparel. And because they on cloud nine right now, I went into a store. It's like every other person I saw had Ravens apparel on, whether it was a hat, a shirt, a hoodie. Like anytime I saw somebody who had purple on, it was a Ravens logo on there somewhere. And I said something like that. I said that shows you how, and that's just how they are, even when it's not in season. But now that you know that they're that close, you're gonna see it everywhere. I said I'm gonna tell you this right now. You driving through Baltimore or any surrounding area of Baltimore wearing any other team but the Ravens, tread lightly, because they take it seriously. Even if you're not a Ravens fan, it's probably just best to not wear any other sports jersey while visiting or stopping through. Now, if you're passing through, that's another story because you in your vehicle. But if you're stopping through, that's something else altogether. Sage said, Torian, you should be a Ravens fan. You from DC and they not far. Listen, well, first I'll say, let me correct you. I'm not from DC. I'm not from DC. I was born in DC, but I'm not from DC. I live in PG County, which is not far from DC. Now, naturally, what many people would think is that I would be a Commanders fan, but I'm not even a fan of them. But I'm not a Ravens fan either. And it's nothing against the Ravens. I would pick the Ravens over the Commanders any day, though, just being honest with you. But I don't want Kansas City to go again because they already went. They went last year and they won, even though that was a questionable win, but okay, whatever. But for me personally, I just wanted to come down to the Ravens and the Lions. Whoever wins, it's on them. It's gonna be a rather historic win either way, no matter who wins, so it is what it is. But I just don't want it to come down to Kansas City and whoever else they play. Nightfall said, PG, I used to live and went to school when I was a kid in PG. Cool. I'm sure a lot has changed since you've left. I'm almost sure of it. What's going on, Jane Smith? Nightfall said, "What are my thoughts on Harbaugh going to LA?" I have no thoughts. I'll put it like that. I have no thoughts. Spidey said, "Why is the Super Bowl so big compared to other championship games?" I would like to say is because it's one of the older like championship style games. It's a lot of sponsorship behind it. It's a lot of sponsors. Of course, people look forward to the commercials. They got the halftime performances, which, by the way, in case y'all are unaware, Usher is doing the halftime show this year. Just a heads up. So that's who will be doing the halftime show this year. I don't know if he will have any surprise guests, but he is the headliner for this year's Super Bowl. And like Sage just said in the chat, the Super Bowl is big because it's only one game. And that's a good point, because when you think about the NBA championship, theirs is best 4 out of 7. Whereas the Super Bowl, you're just playing one game, even down to when they're in the playoffs. There's 2 rounds of playoffs, then they have the championship. But the thing is like it's one game each. Then you have you have the 2 championships. They're only playing one time. It's not like playing multiple championship games to determine who's the champion. Then you have the Super Bowl, which is just one game. With basketball in the NBA, it's multiple games. They're all best 4 out of 7. And that's why the NBA championship is so long. Opposed to when you get to the playoffs, it's only about less than a month. But when it comes to basketball, you talking about the playoffs start in basketball like at the end of April and can run to like mid-June. That is a long time for a championship game. And sometimes people might tune out by that time. Like, it's like, okay, here we go. And the same thing happens in hockey. Hockey's the same way. Like, theirs is like best like 3. I think theirs is 4 out of 7 too, just like the NBA. Spidey said it cost about $7 million just to have a commercial. Yeah, they pay a lot of money for commercials because it's a lot of eyes. It's a lot of people watching. So a lot of people will put their commercials on there. They don't call it the big game just because of the game. It's because of everything else around it. The commercials, the halftime show, all of that. Like, a lot of celebrities pour into that as well. The Super Bowl is like a huge money pot for the NFL. It's their last major money making Sunday before the season ends. So they're making all of their money on that last day, because after that Sunday, they're not making any more money like that until the season restarts. Blueberry says, "I listen to Usher and get all giddy like a girl again." Well, something tells me you'll probably be watching the halftime show. If you don't watch the game itself, you just watch it for him, and you probably gonna feel like a schoolgirl again. Phil the Funk says, "Y'all see the Mammy Bear Winches who got kicked out of that Twitter space?" I don't really be in Twitter spaces like that. I see people have them. People send me invites to come to them, but a lot of times I don't go in them. But if that did happen, so be it. Nightfall say what the NFL still does, it's not nearly as active, just not as much during the active season, of course, because there's nothing really going on. I mean, as long as there's no games happening, there's no money being made, there's no tickets being sold, like there's nobody really buying apparel like that. The most they'll make is probably Super Bowl apparel right after the fact. Of course, the next big money thing will be when whoever wins, whenever they have the parade. So let's hypothetically say, of course, that it came down to the Lions and the Ravens. Whoever wins between the two of those, that city's going to make a lot of money. It'll either be Baltimore or Detroit. And that'll be like their last big money making thing. Because the thing you got to think is all Detroit fans don't live in Detroit. And all Ravens fans don't live in Baltimore, so there's going to be flying in. There's going to be driving. The city of wherever the team that wins has their parade is going to make a lot of money, and of course, the NFL is going to make a profit off of that too. So technically, if you think about it, that's going to be their last big money-making thing, offset of an actual game, but more of a celebration thing. Nightfall said, also notice how Nick Saban left Alabama right after he complained about Deion and the Buffalo snagging all that top talent with the advent of NIL contracts. I don't know if y'all have seen it or well, y'all, I'm sure you have, because Kid Gravity has been talking about it lately, and shout out to him because he brought me up on his live stream earlier in the week when we were talking about Didi. Now, when I say Didi, I'm talking about DEI. Y'all know I gotta have a nickname for everything, so you know DEI. My nickname for it is Didi. Man, PC is losing their mind over Didi, and it's like notice they not talking about CRT anymore. They're not talking about CRT anymore. Now it's DEI this and DEI that. I touched on it in my live stream last week when, they talked about the Delta airline thing. But now they are throwing everything about Didi at the wall to see what sticks, and it's making them look like they are absolutely more ridiculous than they already are. I think I've come across more post about Didi this week than anything else. It's crazy how they have allowed that to consume them. And the crazy part about it is when you look at the person who benefits the most from Didi, it's again like affirmative action, white women. Spidey said, what is the best game day snack to me? Probably wings. Probably wings. DSA said I talk about college football on my channel. I'm not really into college football like that. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I'm not into college football really like at all like that. And when I say wings, they got to have the bone in, not the boneless, because when I think of boneless wings, I'm just thinking of chicken tenders at that point. That's the only boneless chicken that will really come to mind is chicken tenders. Those really aren't, to me, to be considered wings. Black Spider said, let them blame it on the Asian for getting rid of affirmative action. One would think that they would blame it on them, but they got to find a way to blame it on us because they keep saying for instance, the whole Charlie Kirk thing and about the black pilot situation, he put himself in a blender with that one, and he busy on X right now trying to explain his way out of it while doubling down on what he already said. Then you got that foolish girl, that little girl, the coonstress, up there saying, I wouldn't let a female pilot my plane. I'm like, if you just don't crash out already, November 5th can't get here fast enough. Alfredo Earl says, can I talk about Colman Domingo getting all of these movie roles all of a sudden? You know what's funny? I was watching a stream today earlier this morning, and we were talking about the new Michael Jackson biopic that's coming up, which, by the way, they've already started filming this week. I think they started filming Monday, but I think they're still going through casting. And of course, the most recent casting they did was Colman Domingo to play Joe Jackson. And going back to what Alfredo Earl just said, I am noticing a lot of the roles that he's getting a lot late. Like, I mean, these roles are just popping up. because he also just got cast to play Nat King Cole in the biopic about him. So now you got Nat King Cole. Now you about to play Joe Jackson. You just came off The Color Purple. You did that movie Rustin. You're nominated for an Oscar. I said, I see what they're doing. They had to get Jonathan Majors out the way. And now they got Colman Domingo taking his place. Notice they kept talking about rumors of him being the new Kang the Conqueror, which, of course, Jonathan Majors was portraying. Like, they was about to build this phase around his character. So, yeah, I will definitely be keeping an eye on him. And here's the thing, I've known about Colman Domingo for a minute now, way before a lot of people just got put onto him. I remember seeing him in little bit parts years ago. I mean, he was in little parts here and there, but nothing that would have him where he's at the status of where he's at now. And he too kind of falls into the same category as Billy Porter. It's just that he's not flamboyant like Billy Porter. In case y'all are unaware, Colman Domingo is in the Academy. He's in the Academy, but he's not flamboyant and out there like a Billy Porter where you can tell he is. Because he could play in a role and you would never know that he was in the Academy until you actually heard him say that he was. And then I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I believe his partner is also PC. So that's another thing that him and Billy had in common with him, because, Silly Porter is no longer with his partner. Because I remember seeing Colman Domingo when he was in that new Candyman movie, that Candyman movie that came out a couple years ago. He's on Euphoria. And those were the kind of things I saw him in. That there was some other things as well. Then I saw him pop up in things. I was like, oh, that's the guy from Candyman. Oh, he was in Euphoria. But again, these were little small bit parts. He wasn't a main character in that movie or that show. But now he's popping up in everything. And how ironic, it's right after all of this stuff goes down with Jonathan Majors. And, Jonathan Majors was like climbing to the top rapidly fast. Then this happens and then boom, stalled, career on ice. Now, here comes Colman Domingo. And now he has all of these parts just being thrown at him. And he's accepting almost every last one of them. Hold on, let me. Denise said she wanted me to show a picture of him. Hold on. Okay, let me share my screen right quick. All right, y'all. So this is him right here. That is Colman Domingo right there. Yes, also, Cosmo Fury, he was in Fear the Walking Dead. But, I fell off of Fear the Walking Dead. After a while, I just fell off The Walking Dead altogether. After they killed Carl, I was done with it. So, I fell off maybe when they had about 2 seasons left. So, in case people didn't know how he looked, there he is right there. Okay, Denise says she recognizes him now. And by the way, I did look up his background. His dad, I'm not sure about his mom, but his dad is Belizean. His dad is from Belize. And his family side, I think his dad's side on that side is Guatemalan. So they're from Latin America. Like, his dad is from Latin America. I believe he's first generation born because he was born in Philly. So he's first gen born. But his dad is from Belize. Tippy W said, yes, he's in the Academy. As a matter of fact, hold on right quick. Just so let me see. Let me show you something right quick. And see the thing, and you see right there, Tippy, what you just said. You didn't even know. You didn't even know. You had to you asked because you wasn't sure. So let me show you this right here. Let me share my screen again. That's a picture of Colman Domingo right there with his partner. That's why I said that's another thing him and Silly, well, when Silly was married, had in common. All I'm gonna say is this: Colman Domingo is getting all these roles hand over fish right now. But if you step out of line, they'll cut the rug from under him, just like they did Jonathan Majors, and then move on to their next person. So that is him right there with his partner. There was also some people getting on recently with some people. It was some stuff going out there about John Leguizamo. They was getting mad at him because they said, John Leguizamo, you keep saying how there's not a lot of Latino representation in a lot of these things. Well, how come you didn't say anything about Colman Domingo and his historic Oscar nomination for Rustin? I said, we know why John didn't say nothing, because Colman Domingo doesn't represent the aesthetic of the typical Latino. Because when you look at Colman Domingo, if you didn't know anything about him, all you see is a straight up and down black man. So we know why John Leguizamo didn't say anything. John Leguizamo is another anti-black person that had to get on last year about some nonsense he said. Angelica said, well, with him being a part of the Rainbow Mafia, keep him safe though. No, it wouldn't. I just mentioned Billy Porter. Billy Porter is pretty much crashed out. I predict that Billy Porter is going to probably be out of Hollywood in less than a year. That strike hurt him immensely. Then on top of that, he ended up getting a divorce from his husband, who was PC. He said he had to sell a lot of stuff or sell his home or stuff like that because he really didn't have no money like that. And them strikes didn't help him either. They had to shelve his project. If Billy was PC, of course, though, he would be safe on the fact of him being white. But Billy is a black man, no matter how flamboyant he acts, trying to make it in an industry that is majority PC. And let's be real here. Billy Porter, I don't feel bad for him at all. He's been saying a lot of off-code things over the years, especially about black people. He got exactly what he deserves. The only people that's really in his corner like that are those who are in the academy, and more so those who are black. And that's a very small sector. Yeah, Blueberry, he insulted the Vogue editor. I did a video about that. I said, whatever you feel about her, you said what you said, but remember, that woman is very well connected. And he was upset because, he started getting disinvited to a lot of fashion events and stuff like that. I'm like, you buried your own, you picked out your own coffin and buried your own grave. All you got to do is throw yourself in the coffin and have someone throw the dirt on top of you. It's done. Stick a fork in you. But like I said, even before that, I didn't feel bad for him because, again, he was saying a lot of off-code things about black people. So it is what it is when it comes to him. Trying to see what else y'all talking about in the chat. William said, I hear Megan and Cardi are beefing. Listen, I don't follow them at all. Neither one of them. I don't follow their careers. I don't follow them on social media. So whatever beef they got going on, let them have at it. I could care less. that's my take on that. On them. Now I got a question. Speaking of film, how do y'all feel about this this Book of Eli prequel that they got coming out? It's going to be in the form of a show. They got this Book of Eli prequel coming out, and they're going to have John Boyega play the part of a younger version of Denzel's character. How do y'all feel about that? I'm just curious. Blueberry said F no. Marcus said no. Black Plumber says it sounds cool. UJ Imbeck says I'm cool with it. Angelica said, really, I didn't know they were making a TV show. It's probably going to be trash in my opinion. Tippy W says first time hearing about it. Donacy, who asked for the Book of Eli? His Janessa says no. And Flournoy says sick of remakes. Crystal said, I don't know. I haven't heard John Boyega say anything crazy. Don said he cannot embrace the FBA experience, so on and so forth. I don't know really how to feel about it. Hacksound. Hacksound said, will he be screaming Ray all the time? Well, I don't think there's a character in the Book of Eli named Ray, but I mean, this is supposed to be the prequel, so I don't know what characters, aside characters, are going to be in this. Nightfall said, I like the original movie. It had an original storyline to follow. Angelica said, how can one even write a prequel to that movie, though, besides the most apocalyptic aspect? Cosmo said, I'm fine with it. Was just something to think about. The platinum plan ain't really exactly reparations, but from my understanding, it's at least a $500 billion start in investments specifically for Black Americans. Actually, Wes, I actually went over the platinum plan in a live stream that I did a little while back. I'm not sure if you were subscribed to my channel or not. It's a lot of loopholes in that platinum plan that not see, or they just chose to overlook because they saw some things that stuck out there that had the word Black next to it, but it actually was not. It had some loopholes in it. It had more holes in it than Swiss cheese. I'll leave it like that. The platinum plan is not all what it was cracked up to be. And it's unfortunate that a lot of Black people fell for it the way that they did. And one thing I did say is that if 45 wanted to enact a platinum plan, quote unquote, for Black people, why did he wait to a couple months before the election to do that? Now, this is where I say I'm glad that I decided to become independent, because what he did with that is no different than what Joe Biden and those on the Democratic side do with Black people all the time. They string you along for so long, and then right before the election, that's when they say, oh, we're going to do this and we're going to do that for you, and then they don't do it. That's the same exact thing that 45 did in order to get more Black people on that side with that platinum plan. But on that same token, he ended up losing a lot of his main base supporters with it as well, because we already know they don't like Black people. As a matter of fact, I have a video that I recorded that's actually going to break that down at a later date. Y'all will know when you see it. And it makes you question, why is it that a lot of black people decide to yell out MAGA all the damn time when really they don't want you over there? They really don't. MAGAville has established itself as a whites only or whites majority club in more ways than one. But like I said, if you actually take the time to really read the Platinum Plan, and it's not even a long read at that. The document is not long. It's probably maybe about 2 or 3 pages. You can get through it in probably 10 to 15 minutes. It's that short. If you read it, then you'll realize this is a bunch of BS. This is no different than a lot of those reparation task force documents that they keep putting out there and trying to say, oh, we need to do a study. It looks something like that. But yeah, I definitely got a video coming up that's going to be breaking down how MAGA, quote unquote, is not for black people at all. Like black conservatives, you are selling yourselves to the highest bidder to not get a thing at all. If you think you're going to go over there and get some kind of representation or something out of the deal when you're really not. You're just not going to get it. And they're going to make sure that you don't get it either. And if you do get something, you're going to get the scraps. Unfortunately, there are some over there that are fine with getting just scraps. They love their little butt of dust. Wallow J said Candace still mad at Trump. Candace needs to be mad with her stylist. It's amazing that woman just gave birth not even 2 months ago, and she still has to grift so hard. Aren't y'all glad that y'all don't have to do what she does? Let me talk to the ladies right quick, because she's a woman and y'all are women. Let me talk to y'all right quick. Aren't y'all glad that for the women in the chat who have kids and worked a job, whether in corporate America or otherwise, when you got pregnant and you was getting to that last little trimester, when it was right time for you to go on maternity leave, you was able to go on maternity leave for maybe about a good month or so you can, do the motherly and nurturing thing that you do? Aren't you glad you were able to do that? That one over there, however, she had to be working up into her ankles, into her cankles. Her ankles had cankles. And then right as soon as she had that child, she was right back on the yellow griff road. She had to do that with every child she had. And she has 3 of them. Just be glad you don't have to grift like she does. Surfactant, I swear I just made that up on the spot. I don't know how I do it. It just happens. I don't know if it's because I was a mass comm agent. I'm good with words. But yeah, that is a full-time job. And when I say full-time, she got to be on it. And then she got to say a whole bunch of stuff that makes no sense. I just told you what she said recently about her saying she wouldn't get on a plane that was piloted by a woman. Then I guess you just go and not fly then. I saw someone had left in the comment section said, you know what? If the world wanted to be a better place, they need to put Candace on the no-fly list. Yes, for those of y'all out there, yes, Candace has 3 kids. She has 3 kids, and she's married to a PC man. No one's shocked by that. This is also the same woman that tried to say that Vanessa Williams was mixed. I'm like, Candace, you are a 34-year-old woman with 3 kids with a white man. You of all should know what mixed is and what it isn't. Shout out to Sir Factor for the $5 super chat. He says, just for the yellow grift road. I appreciate it. DSB said, facts and truth, you're speaking, family. I appreciate it. Yeah, like I said, that's why I had to block her. That's why I had to block her on X, because she says a bunch of nonsense. The only way that Candace pops up on my page is if somebody I'm following on X retweets some nonsense she says, just to call her off for her goofiness. Is mainly always Kid Gravity for the most part. That's the only way I would see her post. And the post that I saw today about her talking about she wouldn't get on a plane that was piloted by women. And you got to think, this woman literally is like a stone gypsy in the sense that she has literally hopped from platform to platform to platform over the last few years. She's never been solid or solidified in one particular space for a long period of time. She always goes wherever she feels she can get the most money. And shout out to Blueberry Muffin. She says, hashtag don't follow the yellow grift road. Hey, y'all, remember this. Y'all heard it here first. Nobody else was saying yellow grift road before me. So if y'all hear anybody else say yellow grift road, you know who said it first after the day. I'm just saying, y'all didn't hear anybody else say it before today. And if you hear it after the day and it wasn't out of my mouth, you know where they got it from. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Black Spider says she loves that white stuff. I'm gonna leave that one alone, but I know I hear what you're saying. You know what because she's trying to sound, when she said that, it's almost like she's trying to sound like a red pill guy. That's almost what she tried to sound like. And man, people clowned the heck out of her under the post. Because it was clipped from I guess from a longer segment. And it was posted up on this page. I forgot the name of the page. But it's a page that shows about the quote unquote patriot talking points, and they clip them from different people who say dumb stuff. They do Charlie Kirk quite often. He's a fixture on that page. But they posted her today, and I saw that, and I'm just sitting there like, but see, here's the thing though. They pedestalized her. They pedestalized her to the point where even some of them can't knock her off the square now. She's going to have to do something so egregious that when they pull the rug from under her, she's going to continuously fall. Just like in the movie Get Out. When he was falling into the sucking place, he was literally falling into like limbo, where it's a continuous dark pit of falling, and you're yelling, but no one can hear you. Only you can hear you. That's when she's going to really truly have her moment. Much like Stacey Dash. You know, Stacey Dash is practically drowned in that sunken place. Shout out to William Arant for the $5 super chat. He says Vince McMahon is a news media blackout so far. Yeah, I've been hearing about that. As a matter of fact, I got to go back and listen to Kid Gravity's playback about that. But man, that thing about Vince McMahon. See, Vince McMahon is also another person who thinks that he could get away with a lot of stuff because he's this old white man with money. I mean, you could tell that just by how he would walk to the ring in the early and back in the day. Anyone who used to watch Monday Night Raw, how Vince McMahon would walk to that ring, that ego walk he used to always do. He ain't walking like that now. Is looking very, very, very Epsteinish for Vince McMahon right now. And I don't think he's going to be able to claw his way out of this one. Sir Facton said, what did he do? Basically, what happened is that Vince McMahon, he was accused of sex trafficking. And one of the people that he was that they said he was in sex, that he quote unquote sex trafficked, was a former WWE employee. and they got like a bunch of documents and everything and proof to say that he actually did it. Spidey said, wasn't WWE SmackDown on UPN Thursdays? SmackDown was on UPN, but it was on Fridays. Raw was on Mondays. But I don't think Raw came on UPN. I think Raw came on Fox. I want to say came on Fox. If I'm not mistaken, someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but I know that SmackDown, Friday Night SmackDown used to come on UPN. And I used to, man, listen, back in the day, Friday Night SmackDown on UPN from 8 to 10, or was it 8 to 11? It might have been 8 to 11. I know it was 8 to 11. And then what we would do is we would, like, you know, us as kids, we would go to school on Monday and talk about what happened. The Attitude Era, listen, you had to be there. I feel bad for those who didn't grow up in the Attitude Era. The Attitude Era was one of the best eras of wrestling, of professional wrestling. I mean, you had all the superstars in it. You had The Rock, of course. You had Shawn Michaels. You had Triple H. You had who else did you have? The Big Show, Rikishi. It's a Kurt Angle, Chris Benoit. Who else did you have? Eddie Guerrero, the Hardy Boys, Edge, Test, Stone Cold Steve Austin. And by the way, Raw is about to go on Netflix next year. They signed a deal where Raw is now going to be going to Netflix. So it's going off of major cable networks because they got shopped around so much. And now it's about to go onto streaming, which is Netflix. So now people want to continue to watching Raw next year. They're going to have to get a Netflix subscription. But yeah, like I said, I could go on and on and on about the Attitude Era and list all the superstars, but I will be here for like another hour just naming them. But the Attitude Era of wrestling from like the 90s, I think it was like from like, it was pretty much the whole 90s. And like part of the early 2000s was the Attitude Era. Anything after that, I didn't pay attention to. When the Attitude Era was done, I was pretty much done with wrestling. The Undertaker and Kane, definitely. Undertaker and Kane used to scare me, but I'm going to tell you right now, The Undertaker has one of the elitist entrances of all time. You know that The Undertaker's coming in when you hear that bell and the lights go out and they come back on. And that entrance that he has coming in, when he used to come in the casket, or when he walked down with the long red leather coat, long black leather coat with the hat. Man, one of the best entrances of all time. Retro said the Attitude Era was from 97 to 2002. Okay, cool. Thanks for letting me know. I knew it was in the 90s, but I wasn't sure when in the 90s it started. But yeah, the Attitude Era, that was all me right there. Yes, Kane and the Undertaker are brothers. Angelica says, so does the Attitude Era just cover wrestling? Yes. The Attitude Era was just a segment in time in WWE. Back then, though, WWE used to be called the WWF, which was the World Wrestling Federation. But then when people discovered that wrestling wasn't real and it was just entertainment, they took off the F and replaced it with an E and called it the World Wrestling Entertainment. Exactly. But man, if y'all want to get a little like insight to how the Attitude Era was, I'm not gonna play it on here, but when y'all got time, just go on to on the YouTube and just type in the WWE Attitude Era, and you should find a whole bunch of clips from that time. And I'm telling you, it's going to blow your mind. Like even down to some of the writing. The Rock, despite how you may feel about him, during the Attitude Era, has some of the best clapbacks, some of the best roast, some of the best one-liners. If you ever heard of someone say, if you smell what The Rock is cooking, that was him. Or he says, I'll lay the smack down on your candy ass, that was The Rock. Or him saying, it doesn't matter, so and so and so, that was The Rock. Like, he had a bunch of one-liners that are still iconic to this day. But those of us who grew up in the 90s, like us as kids, or even those who were teenagers, shoot, even some adults, will tell you that the Attitude Era of wrestling was the best. And thanks for correcting me, Mystery Man. He said the WWF was copyrighted and they had to change the name. Well, I appreciate it. I always thought it was because it just went over to the entertainment side, quote unquote. I mean, technically, it was always entertainment. That's really what it is. Mental Edge said Paul Bearer was a frightening looking dude. He was a frightening looking dude. Like, this guy looked like Penguin. He looked like Oswald Cobblepot. His eyes was all bugged out, and he was always walking around with that urn. I think that was the creepiest part. Like, dude, like, you walking around with this urn. I hope it was nobody's ashes in that urn. It probably was, though, but knowing him. But yeah, Paul Bearer was a creepy looking dude. But he was all a part of Undertaker's shtick back when Undertaker first got started. All Star Wars said the NWO or the No Way Out era was my favorite. Dr. Carpy said World Wildlife Fund sued them for infringement. Okay, cool. My favorite moment, I actually have two moments that I remember vaguely, and there's so many dope moments from that era, but there's two that I remember vaguely. One of them was when the Big Show broke the ring. Who remembers that? It was I forgot who he was fighting. And someone had did like a power bomb of the Big Show off of the top rope, and the whole ring broke. I watched that in real time. I think it was on SmackDown, and when I tell you, my jaw hit the floor because I had never seen anything like that before. Imagine myself as a preteen, because I think I won't think I was a teenager yet watching that. I could not believe that actually happened. You said it was Brock Lesnar that did it? Yeah, I believe it would be Brock Lesnar, because Brock Lesnar would be the only one I could think that could. Well, there's other people that could pick the Big Show, but the Big Show was a big dude, like tall and just big. But yeah, the whole ring collapsed. That was crazy. That was one moment. The other moment was when Stone Cold Steve Austin drove that beer truck into the ring. He drove a whole beer truck. I think it was a Budweiser. It might have been Budweiser or Bud Light. I forgot what brand of beer it was. And he drove that beer truck into the ring, and he crashed it into the ring. And then he got out of that truck and started tossing beers out into the audience. That is why I said the Attitude Era was one of the best eras, because they cannot recreate that. They cannot do that today. They could not do that today. That's why they called it the Attitude Era, because it was really the era of not giving an F about what people thought. That's when wrestling really became entertaining. That's what brought a lot of people back to it who started to fall off. So they had to think of something. And that's when they came up with the Attitude Era. Those two moments I mentioned were both out of the Attitude Era, and there's so many more. Another one was when The Rock had told Vince McMahon to come closer to his limo, and The Rock slapped the ish out of him. He slapped the taste out of Vince McMahon's mouth. And you got to think, The Rock has a football background, so he's already big anyway. Then his genetics, he's big through that. Rock has some big hands. He literally slapped Vince McMahon so hard that his face he probably felt his face come off slightly. And then you had Shane McMahon. I don't know. Shane McMahon, he must have thought he was Evil Knievel in his past life, always jumping off these high structures onto nothing. I'm like, the person you're trying to jump on is like on one side of the ring and you're jumping off the other side of the ring and you're landing and you're hurting yourself. But I mean, that was part of Shane McMahon's thing, was to jump off of high structures and badly injure himself. I don't know why, but that was just his thing. Yeah, I remember Mankind or Mick Foley, whatever it was, who would have the sock. He would put the sock puppet onto his hand and put it and stick the sock hand into someone's mouth and make them gag on it. Like crazy times. AW1 found out, appreciate, he says, nah, Torian, it was the NWO that brought people back to wrestling first. I appreciate it. But see, the thing is, I missed the NWO era, because I don't think I started watching it until the Attitude Era. Terry said D-Generation X. Definitely. Let me tell you something about D-Generation X. Everybody knows, especially if you was a boy. If you was a young boy during the D-Generation X era, time, which was also in the Attitude Era, it was Shawn Michaels and Triple H. That was their collab. Everybody knows, or every boy knew, the suck it. You stand like in a certain stance. You bring your arms up, and both your arms up, and you bring them down in the X formation. Say suck it. Do you know how many of us used to get in trouble when we was in school doing that? Sir Fat, I still do the second move to myself. Man, what a time that was. And like I said, someone else had mentioned it earlier during the Attitude Era, is that it was equal rights, equal fights. The reason why that was is because at that time, that was when a male wrestler and a female wrestler, or a male wrestler more so than anything, could do a maneuver on a female wrestler and it wouldn't be seen as, oh my God, I can't believe this man did this to this woman. No one would look at it like that. It was like, oh, okay, it happened. Next fight, or next storyline, or next scenario. Shout out to J Dog for the $2 super chat. He says, today they got a group called Bullet Club. I appreciate it. So, in fact, I don't know how we got here. Like I said, this Freestyle Friday, we just talk about whatever. Exactly, Robert. It was rated E for everyone. Hands, not just hands, but feet, knees, elbows, arms, all of that. Whatever you could use as a way to win your match. Hey, it is what it is. Also, of course, you had the specialty matches. Okay, I got to ask a question to y'all in the chat who watched WWE back in the day. What was y'all favorite specialty match? As we all know, the regular matches, that was just, the regular match. But what was your favorite special match? Your specialty matches? There was quite a few of them, but I'm not going to say mine. I want to see what y'all say in the chat. J Daw said TLC, which means tables, ladders, and chairs, for those of you who don't know. The ladder matches, tables, ladders, and chairs. The Royal Rumble. I would say the Royal Rumble is special because it's not a regular match. Like, it's not a match between two people. I would even throw tag team into a special match because now that's between 4 people. The Hell in a Cell, the Steel Cage, the ladder matches, Hell in a Cell, Street Fight, Last Man Standing. Them Hell in a Cell matches were probably the most brutal matches. If you wanted to see someone like draw blood in a match, the Hell in a Cell and probably the tables, ladders, and chair matches. Those were the two matches right there where you would probably see someone draw blood. Was in those two matches. The Elimination Chamber, tag team, the barbed wire matches. Wallace said, "You better not say brawl and pan." That wasn't even on my mind. I forgot about that. Now, of course, that was definitely for the women. Yeah, like I said, the cage matches, the Hell in a Cell, and the TLC matches, those were some of the most brutal matches that you could watch on television. I'm surprised that they didn't break a whole bunch of FCC laws with some of those matches. The Buried Alive match, Rage in the Cage, the casket matches. The Scaffold, yeah. Like I said, y'all are dropping some really good ones. But yeah, it was a lot. Like back then, those matches were crazy. They were intense matches. Now that's when you can say that there was some reality there with the wrestling. Now with the regular matches, those didn't look real. But with those matches, it was kind of hard to fake those type of injuries. Like or how about this one? When they had the thumbtacks, who remembers the thumbtacks? When they have the thumbtacks on the ring and people were falling them thumbtacks, oh, I'm like, when they would fall on them thumbtacks and they would get up and they would have the tack stuck in their back. I mean, could you imagine? First off, you fell on your back and you got all these tacks stuck in your back and you still got to fight. Like, because the match isn't over because you fell on the tacks. You can't win until you get pinned. So imagine you're fighting through all of that, and most people, you get pinned on your back. So imagine you getting pinned on your back with them tacks on your back, and then you got to go back and get them things pulled out. Shout out to Joseph Washington. Is happy to catch a Freestyle Friday. I'm glad that you made it. But yeah, like looking at that was crazy. I'm like looking at them falling them tacks and then get up and they have them stuck in their back. Woo! Okay, so I just asked y'all about Spider said I didn't think those tacks. Oh, those tacks were real. They were real because they was literally like when you see them, they were stuck on their back. Those tacks were real. There's one match that people forgot to bring up as far as a specialty match, and that was the Money in the Bank match where they had to fight to try to get the briefcase that was hanging at the top of the ring. But that also too, and that was like a combination of tables, ladders, and chairs because you could use almost anything in that match, especially them ladders, because you needed to use a ladder to climb up to get the belt. And the thing is that was scary is if someone got near the top to try to get the briefcase, is if someone was at the bottom and they pushed the ladder over while the person was still trying to get the briefcase unlocked and they fell over the table. I can imagine the anxiety going through the person's head as they're tipping over like that. Now that we've gone through the type of matches, I want y'all to tell me in the chat, what was your favorite special? Like your favorite WWE special? Like, of course, you had WrestleMania, you had SummerSlam, you had Backlash. They had a whole bunch of them. I remember when back in 2000 when Backlash was in DC. I didn't go, but I had asked my parents, could they get me pay-per-view so I could watch it? 24 years ago. Whew, how crazy how time flies. And I remember watching that. And I remember that match. It was that last match between Vince McMahon and Triple H. And Triple H was bodying Vince McMahon until Stone Cold came out at the end and bodied Triple H, and then Vince McMahon ended up winning the match. Robert Brown said WWE in your house. I forgot about those. Joseph Washington said Survivor Series and WrestleMania. Sir Fan said then Triple H married. Yeah, he did. He married Stephanie McMahon. And they used to always, okay, let me see. I'm gonna try to test y'all. On something right quick. Who has the most WrestleMania championship wins? That's going to be the question for y'all. Who has the most WrestleMania wins? Whoever said The Undertaker is absolutely correct. For a while, Undertaker was undefeated when it came to WrestleMania. I think he had a unbroken streak for a while. I think he won like 21 or 25 or something like that before his streak was actually broken. But to this day, he still has the most title wins at WrestleMania. No one has broken his record yet. And I forgot who, and Brock Lesnar broke it. That was a big deal. When Brock Lesnar broke his record, that was a big deal because he was seen as unbeatable when it came to it. So when Brock Lesnar broke his record, that was a huge deal in the wrestling world. Championship wins, Nightfall drop. Because I think they gave Undertaker a title, but I forgot what the title was. That's what I was typing to look up. I was trying to find out. I knew it was the Undertaker, but I knew they had gave him a title, but I couldn't think of what the title was. It was a particular title they gave Undertaker because he had won so many. Sir Phantom says, "Is Undertaker retired now?" Yeah, he's retired now. He should be. I should say, he should be retired now. It also said that to this day, like as far as like undefeated streaks, the Undertaker has the longest undefeated streak of 21-0, 8,415 days as far as WrestleMania goes. Not wrestling matches, but just WrestleMania. He has the longest streak overall, whether it's WrestleMania or a standard match. Still to this day, no one has broken it. And at this point, I don't think anyone will, because the reason why I say that is because the person behind him is Hulk Hogan with 1,474 days. Yeah, I think it's safe to say that's not going to happen in his streak. I think his was I forgot how many, like how long, like day wise it was. I'm looking it up now. Yep, it just says 1,474 days, or maybe that's just how long they were active, but still. Angelica said, didn't Undertaker try to come back, but he was all old and stuff and lost? Probably. Yeah, like his time is pretty much up. He pretty much he already had his time. He has nothing more to prove. You know, just sit and retire. That's all I can say. But yeah, I can't believe we spent the majority of the time talking about wrestling, but it was good to go down that little memory lane right there. I was so glad that, you know, so much engagement in the chat to see how many of y'all watched wrestling back in the day. But like I said, it was a very universal, I would say, program back then. I couldn't tell you what's going on with it right now because I haven't watched wrestling probably since 08. So I couldn't even tell you all the new people and everything like that if I tried. There might be some people in there whose names stick out, but there's none that really stick out to me opposed to like it was back in the day, like in the early 2000s and the late 90s. Tippy said Roman Reigns. Now that's a name that, of course, is familiar to me. I am familiar with Roman Reigns. Black Spider said that was nice. I didn't know I remembered that much. Right. It's amazing what the mind can retain for so long. And yes, Myron Vince does need to be under the jail. That's how we got on this. We were talking about Vince McMahon and his perverted ass. Oh, that's a tough one. Nightfall said my favorite finisher of all time. Well, I think I might have a couple. Definitely the Tombstone by the Undertaker is a good one. The hold on. I got to look up the names because I forgot about. I remember what they sound like. I remember what they are. The People's Elbow for sure. Definitely the People's Elbow. The Stone Cold Stunner. I like Rey Mysterio's finisher too. I like Rey Mysterio because he was so athletic. I mean, he was all over the place, but he was so athletic. That I like Rey Mysterio when he would run from the rope and bounce off of it and then come through between the rope and kick the person. I forgot what it was. I forgot what that was called. But I always like that finisher too. Sweet Chin Music. Yeah, King Daniel. That was Shawn Michael. That was called Sweet Chin Music. The 619. Thank you, Robert, Mark, and Joseph. Yes, the 619. Also, I liked what was his name? The one who used to do the worm. Oh man, Scotty Too Hotty. That's who it was. The one who used to do the worm. Who remembers that? But yeah, like I said, if y'all want to like go and look up stuff from the Attitude Era, a lot of people that I'm mentioning are from that era. Go and watch it. Another group that was also very athletic was definitely the Hardy Boys. Definitely the Hardy Boys were very athletic. Anytime they got up on that top rope and did something like of a flip, it was scary because it's either it was going to land right or it was going to land wrong. And the only way it could land wrong is if the person got out of the way. Because if they did, they would have led chest and belly first on that ring. But whenever they got on that top rope and did some kind of a maneuver, like a flip onto their opponent, that was always dope to watch. Listen, I don't think anybody wanted to be around Rikishi's backside, because that was kind of his finisher, was that butt thing. Ugh, that was just disgusting. Okay, it just was. Yeah, the stink face. I could only imagine. Listen, I hope that they like. I mean, naturally they would have had to take a shower, but man, they probably was scrubbing so hard to their face felt rough. If they had to be subjected to the stink face by Rikishi. Yeah, Lita was a very good female wrestler. She was also very athletic as well because she used to be with the Hardy Boys. She was like the unofficial third member of the team. But anyway, y'all, I think I'm about to go ahead and shut this down. Listen, we spent most of the time talking about wrestling, but that's okay. It is what it is. But I am very appreciative of everybody that came through. We've been on here for about an hour and a half. Shout out to everybody who contributed. Blueberry Muffin, William Morant, AW1, J Dog, FBA, Joseph Washington for contributing. And also shout out to Cyberdyne for the Cash App. I've received it. I definitely appreciate it. We will be back on here tomorrow. The premiere window for tomorrow's premiere is already up right now. It's going to be an Operation Protect the White Boy video. So be sure to go ahead and check that out and have your notifications turned on for that. Shout out to the Patreon members, the people in the Discord, the people on Twitter, on Instagram, and all of that good stuff. I appreciate each and every one of you. Be sure to look out for the poll that will be going up on Sunday so you can vote to see the order of the videos that will be going out for the week. Also be on the lookout for the episode 4 of the We Fought Back series that will be coming up this upcoming Wednesday as well. With that being said, y'all enjoy the rest of your evening. Enjoy your weekend. And I will talk to you all in the next one. Be safe and be one.